Following up in the Bryan Kohberger case, one of the key experts who was going to testify in Bryan Kohberger's defense, and who will now never have the opportunity to do so, has now started a new business endeavor. The Bryan Kohberger case just will never go away. There are always new developments. And, no, we are not pro-burgers. No, we are not guilters. We're just people with questions. I'm attorney Andrew Myers. This is About the Law. And joining me, as always, is California attorney Yolie Medina. Hey, Yolie, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you? Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yeah. Are you going out trick-or-treating?
No, but I'm going to give out candy, so.
Yeah, you and me both. I have a little display of some stuff out front of my house, as do many people. And it's always a favorite holiday of mine because, it's the last holiday we have where the weather is still,
right.
And we're going down into the depth of the holidays now. But anyhow, so I'm sitting along and I get a email from one of our many loyal viewers this morning, a good one who's actually appeared on our episode before, and without doxing her, found out about Cy Ray and a new company he's started to help people understand how investigations of criminal matters will never be the same again. And this is his company, Vernaus. That's how I would pronounce this, Yolie. How would you pronounce this?
Vernaus?
Vernaus? This is his new company. He's just started it, making complex investigations logical. Vernaus is transforming how government agencies manage, analyze, and present digital evidence. Our platform at Atlas centralizes source data and case evidence into a single intelligent system, empowering investigators, prosecutors, and defense teams to make faster, clearer, and more defensible decisions. So the thing that we're going to get more into this website, but the thing that interested me, and correct me if I'm wrong, as you have in the past, my understanding was Cy Ray had always worked for law enforcement in the past until he came across the Bryan Kohberger case. And in the Idaho 4 case, he decided that he would work for the defense.
That's right. That's my understanding, is he always was an expert for law enforcement.
And he has a law enforcement background, too, as I understand it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's pretty well respected. I know that one of the cases where he testified, the judge did not allow his testimony, but that was because of not a technicality, but there was some issue and it wasn't allowed. But for the most part, he's pretty respectable.
I remember that. I actually did an episode on that. I think it was way before you and I started collaborating, or maybe it was one of the weeks we weren't collaborating. And I remember that case. But other than that case, reading a pile of other cases that had gone up to the appellate courts, because those are the only cases we really see. He has a pretty good reputation, and his expert testimony has been allowed in most cases. The thing that interested me about this was, as I asked you, and you confirmed, is that for the most part, Cy Ray has testified for the law enforcement side. But here on his website here, he says, and defense teams to make faster, clearer, and more defensible decisions. So I go down here. Here's his website. There's Lady Justice right there. When evidence outpaces resources. This is what was really interesting here. Criminal investigations rely on source data, third-party business records, and evidence like Facebook activity, DNA, surveillance video, and retail receipts. But as cases grow, so does the complexity. Sit on the edge of your seat here. Terabytes of unstructured digital evidence. Does that sound familiar?
Yep. That's exactly what happened in the Kohberger case, as to what was represented in court. Terabyte.
So if he has a new approach or some new software or a new way to look at this stuff, Ann Taylor wouldn't have been left with, I forget now, 53 terabytes of evidence, which in the end, only about 10 days, 2 weeks before the final pretrial, she had said, I'm not ready, Your Honor, I'm not ready. I still haven't gone through all of the digital evidence. I haven't gone through the terabytes and terabytes and terabytes. And then 10 days later, during the sentencing, I forget whether it was the change of plea hearing or the sentencing hearing, she said, "Oh, yes, I've gone through all the discovery." So I don't know which it was, but
I don't know.
guess that Ray is now working to teach not only prosecutors but defense attorneys, if you're sandbagged with a ton of, unstructured digital evidence, here's how to do it.
Yeah, and he goes on to talk about duplicate records in fragmented formats, tight deadlines and limited resources, and risk of overlooked or misunderstood data. That's my problem, is that the data has to be understandable not only to the prosecution and the defense, but to juries. I mean, lay people, because if you don't understand how they got to a certain conclusion, then it's difficult to make a decision.
It really is, and we never got a chance to see it all really in the Kohberger case, but I do remember during the second Karen Reed trial, they were showing location data from the telephones, and it was as confusing as hell. And I'll bet you that the jury thought it was confusing as hell. And the prosecution, quote unquote, experts, and I do mean that, inside quotes, it wasn't understandable. It really wasn't. And then when the experts were cross-examined by Alan Jackson, that kind of shed light on it. But, what do we know? We're just reading the syllabus or the web page, would seem to indicate to me that law enforcement and defense need to get on the same page in, figuring out how to understand data and present it in an understandable way to the jury.
Right. And then he says, agencies are drowning in information with no unified way to connect the dots. Wow.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Wow, is that true? So that's just a stock photo, I guess, of
And how do we know this is Ray's site? I didn't see his name.
Oh, that's a good... No, I had the same question when somebody told me that this was Vernaus, I guess, and I went through the whole thing, and we'll continue to go through it because I found it really interesting. They said because he refers to it in his LinkedIn. So here's Mr. Ray's LinkedIn. Cy Ray, there he is. We're not going to dox him. I will cover up his address, although there it is. Activity. Cy Ray, following, innovating once again, and we are officially launching. Lots of questions the last week as to what it is. It is this. Vernaus.com, and that's the site that we're looking at right there.
Yeah.
And just to confirm it, experience, founder, COO, Vernaus Corporation, Vernaus Corp, full-time, October 2025 to present. At Vernaus, we are redefining how complex criminal investigations are managed, born from real-world investigative experience and powered by cutting-edge technology. Our mission is simple. Give professionals the most dynamic, secure, and intuitive tools the industry has ever seen. We offer now this kind of answers my question. We offer software, consulting, and training that is purpose-built for the realities of modern investigations, empowering law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, and criminal defense firms to manage cases with unmatched clarity and confidence. What sets us apart? Real-world experience. We've been in the trenches and know what it takes to succeed. Relentless innovation. We build fast, move faster, and deliver tech that actually works in the field. Unparalleled support from onboarding to 24/7 case assistance. Our team stands with our users every step of the way. We're not a corporation. Wait a minute. I thought up here it said he was a corporation. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Founder, COO, which would be the chief operating officer, Vernaus Corporation. Wait a minute. Maybe he means that in a figurative sense, we're not a corporation. We're a driven, battle-tested startup fueled by lessons learned from past success and a relentless drive to, you know what I mean? I think he wants to
Yeah.
tell people, well,
A
we're not
typical.
really, a faceless, huge corporation, where you can never get anybody on the phone.
Yeah. You have to go
We're
through a
gonna,
phone menu.
if you sign up with us, we're gonna, help you out. I mean, that's my take. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking at this kind of initially myself. Atlas by Vernaus. Secure, scalable, court ready. Atlas is a secure, on premise, cloud based ready SaaS platform built specifically for government investigations. It transforms messy, disconnected data into structured, court ready. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what Ann Taylor had been saying, that all of this information was just dumped on her and no form, there was no way to understand it or go through it in the time that she had.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't she say that it would take years to go through it
yeah, and
at one point?
my former and hopefully coming back just temporarily for the holidays co-host Lainey Law is an engineering student, and she knows a lot about engineering, and we did a slide one day. I'd have to dig back and see if I can find it, that the 53 terabytes or 68 terabytes, whatever it was, would be enough paper to fill a skyscraper. Or it would fill, I think 1,100 or 1,500. I forget the number of file cabinets full of paper. If it was all movies, if it was all video, it would take something like 14 years to look at it all. And I mean, it was just a tremendous volume of material. And like
that
yourself,
doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense that you need all of that, all of those terabytes to prove a criminal case.
well, my feeling was that they got a lot of this security video from security cameras. Like, remember one of them was a liquor store, and one of them, I think, was a weed store. I don't know. And so, his car drove by once. And so the relevant portion would be maybe 15, 20 seconds at the outset. But what they produced was the whole 24 hours of tape. So, yeah. Are you really going to sit there and watch 24 hours worth of video just to see the 15, 20 seconds that's relevant? So my guess is, I don't know. I'd love to have Mr. Ray on to talk to him about this. And this is an open invitation, although, yeah, I will try and get through whatever we have to go through to see if we can get him. I would guess, I don't know, maybe it's AI going through the 24 hours and just popping up the little bit that's required. I don't know.
Interesting. This is very interesting.
I mean, I've been involved. I have done criminal earlier in my career. Now I'm largely civil like yourself. And I've been involved in some crazy litigation where, yeah, they give you a ton of stuff. And then, it's really hard to dig down. I remember one time I was involved in a piece of litigation involving an aviation accident. And the volumes of paper, because we were still doing paper back then, just the volumes of paper were incredible. And some of it, I just shook my head one day. I was looking at how much back then it cost to paint an aircraft. That had nothing to do with the case. But that's the kind of thing they gave us, the number of nuts and bolts that go into, reassembling the tail assembly. So that's the kind of stuff we got in that. So you can only imagine the kind of stuff that Bill Thompson and Ashley Shush Jennings would have given to the defense, and it would have taken forever. And I imagine, I don't know, that this software would kind of help with all of that in the criminal cases. Multi-source ingestion, social media, forensics, geospatial, DNA, video, and more. Boy, that sounds like the Kohberger case right there.
Well, geospatial, that's what I want to know. Like, doesn't that mean like where you are at a certain time and place?
Yes, I would think. I don't know.
I think
I'm
so.
not the expert, but I think you're absolutely right about that.
but I would like to know that because, if I was ever in trouble, not that I'm ever going to get in trouble, I would like to know that because I would like to be able to prove where I was at a certain time.
Yeah. Well, I think you and I probably carry our cell phones with us. I mean, there was the one time I've talked about where I got all the way to the gym and I didn't have it, and I was all mad at myself because now I wouldn't be able to listen to my music. But most people do carry their cell phones with them. As we know from the murder case, our vehicles also locate us. Now, you have to make sure the person is in the right vehicle, but they tracked, when Murdoch was saying, oh, well, I just was inside taking a nap. No, no, from the data in your. So, yeah, I guess, if the person has their phone with them and if they're in the car that we understand, and I'm sure there are a lot more ifs, I would guess that that's what they're putting together here.
Yeah. I mean, if you had an old car, like a classic car that you rebuilt or whatever, it wouldn't have all that stuff in it. So they wouldn't be able to track you with any, GPS, I don't think.
Are you poking fun at me? I have a 14-year-old car that I just went, whew, it got through the inspection. So I don't think it has any of that stuff in it. I don't think it has any.
I mean, I have a Range Rover, but it's kind of oldish, kind of.
So maybe, what year is it?
I don't even know.
I don't want to dox you.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So the older cars, but most people aren't as frugal is a nice way to put it for me, that they get newer cars. I mean, a lot of people want a newer car. Let's talk. We're here to help, from law enforcement to legal professionals. That's us. We collaborate with agencies and organizations dedicated to protecting communities and ensuring fair trials. Let's start the conversation about how Atlas can serve your mission. So there's the contact information right there. I wouldn't imagine that he would mind too much us going through that.
He was on Tommy Jude's channel.
Was he?
Yeah.
All right.
A while back.
So that's interesting.
But he did not speak about the Kohberger case.
I would think he would be able to now, because the non-dissemination order has been, for the most part, gotten rid of. I would think he'd be able to talk. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't want to talk about it, he doesn't have to talk about it.
No, he doesn't have to at all. Yeah, and let's see. So we're on the home page. I think we probably did all of this. Didn't we do all of this? No.
Yeah. No?
Vernals is a government technology startup reimagining investigative workflows with decades of frontline experience and a track record of trusted innovation. Our mission is simple: make complex investigations manageable and logical. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, what's this?
Okay. All right. This is lofty stuff. I mean, it's, if I was doing a website for a new corporation, which I have, I'd say stuff like this too, but it seems pretty lofty. So now, the thing that was kind of strange about the whole thing was that he did the affidavit that he did, which we read, and the judge was really kind of nasty. I've got to say, the judge was really kind of nasty when he wasn't keeping everything private and secret and redacted and not wanting to tell anybody, don't read off my paper. He had some really harsh words for Cyree.
And that was kind of like, judges are supposed to have a certain temperament, and he just seemed like he was over it. And I understand that because I did a video on Cyree's affidavit and how I was kind of confused because he left things open. He said that this is something, they're hiding something larger, or they're covering for something larger. Well, what? What is this larger issue that they're trying to cover up? So it kind of left that open. And as an expert, you really don't want to leave things open. And that's the only thing that I could think of that would cause Hitler to call him a conspiracy theorist. I mean, that's kind of disparaging an expert. And I don't think that a judge should, I don't know. I've just never seen a judge do that before. And I deal with experts all the time. And, they may say things, but not disparage them. They may say, your testimony isn't sufficient, or the testimony isn't sufficient to establish what you need to establish. You know what I mean? And basically, his whole role was to say that he knows that there's more information that the prosecution has. How he knows that the prosecution has more information, and that more information is exculpatory to Bryan Kohberger.
Well, tell me the experiences that you've had. I understand that you've had some insight yourself as to why it was that Cy Ray, always before, I mean, he comes from a law enforcement background, and he always before had been an expert on behalf of law enforcement. Do you have any insight as to why he crossed the line and was a expert for the first time, or a proposed expert for the defense in this case?
No, but I'm going by memory. I believe he approached the defense about it. But I can't say for certain. I don't want to start rumors, but people have left comments on my video about circumstances which led to him being an expert for the prosecution. I mean, for the defense. And I don't know what information he had. But the affidavit could have been written a little better, and just basically logically state, what the AT&T timing and advance records are, why they need them, why he thinks the prosecution has them, and they should be turned over.
Yeah.
And then the 7-day retention period, remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so according to Cy Ray, you can tell if a person turns his phone off or on by the timing advance records.
Right.
You could tell if they turn it off and on. So they did a tower dump of 3,800 phones in the area that had AT&T.
Right.
So they did a tower dump. That has nothing to do with the 7-day retention period. They did that within the 7 days. Okay. And I'm assuming there's a 7-day retention period, and that may be incorrect, but let's assume that
no, I've heard that elsewhere. No, you're right. That's a strong assumption. Yeah.
So they did a 3,800 tower dump.
Right.
And they say that Brian turned his phone off. Okay. Well, was Brian in the 3,800 tower dump? Was his phone in there? And that's how they know he turned it off?
Good question.
That's the question that I have. And I'm not skilled enough to know enough. And, I don't want to start rumors about how Cy Ray got involved, but I do believe he approached the defense, and I may be wrong, but, Cy Ray can correct me if he wants to, but, he may not want to talk about the case because professionally he just may not want to talk about it. But I just think that they were rushed, and also he doesn't refer to any exhibits in his affidavit. And this was in opposition to the motion in limine by the prosecution to keep out the AT&T timing and advance records for Bryan Kohberger, to keep them out. And because they didn't have them. They didn't exist, or at the time.
Didn't Cy Ray say, though, that was a prevarication because they most certainly would have had them?
Yeah, and he talked about how he went into how they got them. But there was an exhibit attached to Ann Taylor, a notice of filing an exhibit, which showed Nick Balance getting these records in April of 2023. And it was a weird notation, but he doesn't reference that in his affidavit, like, this is how I know. And because of exhibit B that says such and such, So I don't know.
The whole thing is just a little bit of an example of why, again, we are not pro-burgers. We are not guilters. We just are people with questions. And this is one of the questions lingering over this case. And how is it, and of what place is it for a judge to call people conspiracy theorists? That shows a lack of an ability to really analyze. People, for example, have called us or referred to people like ourselves who, even though Mr. Kohberger has pled guilty, continue to correctly, I believe, ask questions. And rather than, talking about those questions that are valid, that remain, they just call everybody a conspiracy theorist. No, we're not conspiracy theorists. There are a lot of people out here that never went down into the tunnels, that never went with a lot of the crazy stuff that's out there, and you know what I'm talking about. But we, look at the fact that the Innocence Project has documented many, and one document that we had on this episode, 31 cases where people pled guilty but were later found to be not guilty by objective evidence such as blood and DNA. There's questions. There are valid questions. And yes, as long as they're taking their jolly old time, dribbling and drabbling and drip, drop out with the documents, yes, we will ask questions. So for someone on the bench to call people that simply have questions conspiracy theorists, or for reporters at networks to call people conspiracy theorists, it just shows a lack of an ability to analyze. So
and that's the whole reason, that's the whole reason why I didn't do a video when the affidavit came out, because the case was ongoing and I didn't know enough about it. And I was hoping to get those questions answered in a trial or, in testimony. Never happened.
Or even an allocution, even just, just tell us a couple of things about it. So, this leaves me with a lot of questions. Whenever anybody calls someone else a conspiracy theorist, that reminds me of J. Edgar Hoover after the Kennedy assassination. And there were a lot of lies, a lot of prevarications. Don't even get me started. We're into November now, so it's timely. But rather than answer those questions and rather than assure people, he just insulted people and called them conspiracy theorists. And the more evidence that comes out and the more books that comes out, it appears fairly clearly that things didn't happen the way they said they happened. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. Maybe later in the month I will re-drop an episode that I did on the JFK, but that's probably enough on this. Why don't we go into our viewer comments? Because we had some interesting comments this week. I forget, did you want to take the evens or the odds this week?
I will take the evens.
Okay. All right. So let me blow it up on my screen so I can read it. Number 5 is USA Kiwi. Kiwi is a regular commenter on our episodes. Why in Hunter Johnson's interview did they redact everything he said when describing what he saw when he saw Xana and Ethan's bodies? Is it because his description wouldn't match what we have been told? Yes, that's my answer. What's your answer?
Well, I think this is a good question. I think this is a very good question because, Hunter Johnson was not. He gave interviews on TV. We know who he is,
right?
And so they redact certain information from the public, and it causes questions. And this is a very good question. And like you said, your answer is yes. It's a very good question.
You're a little bit more analytical and thoughtful than I am.
Well,
listen to Yolie's answer, not my answer.
No, it's because when things are hidden, people will have questions, especially about a brutal crime like this one involving students right near the university where police were right around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4.
This is from Sprite Light 6226. Olivia talking to the prosecutors by herself with her personal attorney is yet another very weird situation for this very strange case. I think it is. What do you think?
I think that I don't hold her to be doing anything weird because, as she said, she loves her parents, she respects her parents, and at the same time, she is herself. She is an adult human being, and even though we get nasty comments when I say things like this, she's an articulate young woman, whether you agree with her or not. She's an articulate young woman, and she just had her own questions. She just wanted, no slight to her parents, she just wanted to know things. And so I don't know.
Well, I think it's weird only because, there seems like there's some level of distrust. The case is already strange. And then she meets with, the prosecutors and the investigators by herself with her attorney. It's almost like she doesn't trust what is being said. And, she doesn't want the wool pulled over her eyes, and she wants to have an attorney keep these people honest.
Well, there were some thoughts early on that her father, had gone to the media too much and expressed his open lack of trust for law enforcement earlier on, where her mother didn't share that. Her mother tended to be more trusting and believing of law enforcement. And so there was that tension. People had also said that maybe law enforcement stopped really saying a whole lot to the families because of that tension. So maybe she was hoping that they would cut through that fog and give her more clear answers. I don't know. I don't fault her for that. Comment down below and tell me that I'm wrong. It's okay. That's just my thought. I don't know her. I've never met her. I've never talked to her. How can I know? But
No, and she has questions just like everybody else. It's just a strange thing to me. I don't fault her. I just think it's strange. There's something strange about it.
okay, we'll leave it there. Number 3 is from Caper Girl. I do remember right after the crime, police asked the public if they noticed a delivery truck passing or around the 1122 residence a few days before and a week after the crime. Then nothing after. In interviews on the news about that, then they changed it to a delivery truck passing Pullman. I don't remember this, but okay. You can't believe half of that part. I agree. You can't believe half of what was reported. That I believe.
Yeah, we all thought they were asleep initially when this happened, and then we get information they were not asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've belabored the point ad nauseum such that we're not going to get into it again. But, I would say 90% of the PCA was fiction and just kind of made up.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, this is from George Prokopenko 3044. I think there was a receipt from earlier in the year, a popular item. Don't forget, though, the sheath was planted. The touch DNA does not last more than 3 hours on brass. Well, see, here's somebody who, because we were talking about the receipt for the K-bar and the K-bar knife and the sharpener and all those things that he bought, and I don't think I've ever seen a receipt. So he thinks there was a receipt from earlier in the year. I haven't seen it, but
No.
I've heard that touch DNA does not last for more than 3 hours on brass. So I've heard that. But we'll never know. Yeah. Yeah.
We would need an expert. We would need an expert to say that because I don't know. That's not my area of expertise. I've read that. I've seen that. I've heard that. Have you read, seen, or heard anything? Yes, I have read, seen, or heard that, but I really don't know. I'm not an expert in the area.
And I don't know if there was a typo or things get switched up, but they said the touch DNA or trace DNA from the snap. And then sometimes they say trace DNA from the strap.
I'm almost positive that the allegation and the position of the prosecutors was that it was on the brass snap. I'm pretty sure that's what they said, the brass snap.
Because I read strap one time and I thought, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably a mistake.
There's just so much out there.
I know.
I realize this is from Snugbug176. I realize I'm a bit selfish, but as my new favorite podcasters, thank you, Snug. You really do need to do more than once a week with a midweek update. I need more, especially with all the questions that arise with each BK document dump. Well, thank you, Snug, but both of us are working attorneys. I'll speak for myself, but I know that Yolie's busy. Sometimes I can't even get a hold of her because she's, doing a deposition or something like that. I'm a practicing attorney, and I kind of shove it all to the side for one day to do research, and it's really all we can do. And sometimes, I think we've both almost walked away from it a couple of times just for one episode because unlike some other people, I'm not casting aspersions on anyone, but unlike some people, we're both working as attorneys. And, if you have a deadline to crank out some documents or do a deposition, there's no excuse. There's rarely a good excuse for not doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Snugbug.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to do more. I really would like to do more. I do watch some people while I'm working. I do watch some of the people out there that are out there all the time and doing, multiple episodes. And, I think that that's great. I think that's wonderful. Maybe someday I will get to that point, but that day is not today. The only thought I was having is that, we did that poll, about a month or 6 weeks ago, and we asked people if they wanted us to keep on this case. And I'm like, let us know. 90% of the people, I would say 95% of the people that responded say, stay on the case, keep looking at the documents, let us know what's going on. But we did get a few like really nasties. He pled guilty, move on. I'm at the point now where I'm saying, unless there's something really, really, really new, and there were two things we wanted to do today, which we didn't get to for time constraints. One of them being looking at Emily Allante's interview and a couple other things. We need more support to keep doing it, because if we have, the number of views we're getting on these episodes is dwindling. The number of people that are actually watching these episodes is going down. And so if that continues, just for a practical reason, we can't keep doing them. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your cousins, tell your boyfriends, girlfriends, teachers.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see how cases are prosecuted. That's all. I mean, I have questions.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm just doing my usual, ask for people to, get your friends to support us we don't ask for money. We don't ask for other stuff. We don't sell you merch. But what we would like to do is to have you tell your friends, subscribe, like. Oh, and we have Lucky and Hank to help us with that message.
Do you pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Ask it differently. I'm going to allow that.
Well, you know now because you follow. Do you pay for a subscription?
I do not.
Did you get one for free?
Yes. I was not paying to any social media.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Sorry, I have just a few more questions.
It's denied.
I was not paying to any social media.
Okay.
One of the things we had asked people before was what other cases should we cover? And Long Island serial killer and Sheriff Steins were two of them. The Sheriff Steins episode went over really well. And, there are a couple of issues outstanding in that case. And so as soon as something happens, we'll definitely do that. I wasn't really sure why people wanted us to do the LISK Huerman case. And we got very few responses to that. And somebody actually noted that and asked us, one of the comments I almost included but did not was, why do you think it is that not that many people were interested in our coverage of Long Island serial killer? And my only answer is that, so many bodies have shown up on Long Island over a long period of time, and Mr. Huerman is only accused of several of them, and only in a couple of those cases is there really good direct evidence. And I think people just don't want to admit that kind of thing happens. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not really sure, but I think people who like to listen to stories, or not like, but are interested in serial killer stories, they're not that. I mean, true crimers are true crimers, but there's a certain subset that are interested in serial unalivings, and maybe that's why. I mean, if you notice, some of the court TV, some of the other things, other channels out there that talk about the LISK, they don't get as many views as they do like with Karen Reed.
Right.
So I don't know, maybe it's a certain subset of a population that.
Maybe. And maybe, Long Island is Long Island, but it is only one tiny little part of the entire country. It's only one little part of the entire country. And maybe people say, well, the victims were who they were. It's Long Island. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, because the Alex Murdoch case certainly got a ton of interest. The Kohberger case obviously had got a ton of interest. Karen Reed, exploded, all over the country. So I don't know. I really don't. So those are my closing thoughts. What are yours? Do you have any before we ask for an emoji?
I'm glad that CyRay is starting to educate people on how to make this information when it comes to all this data understandable. I'm glad for that.
It's interesting. It's intriguing, and I wonder if he's starting this because of his, background and just as any professional needing to, push it to the limit, or if it had something to do with the Kohberger case. I'm just really curious. So, I don't know. For an emoji, I would say if you've been with us this long, like a computer or...
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, were you? Okay. And we didn't even
Computer.
talk about it in advance. Yeah, a computer or a device of some nature, a cell phone or a tablet. I know they have emojis for that. So, all right, as I always say in the very end, please be kind. Not only if you meet people out in the public at the mall or wherever you go, but also, be nice in our comment section. I think people are coming around. There were a couple of long strings in our comment section this week, which was good. People were disagreeing, but for the most part, saying why they disagree. We like that. This is a legal true crime channel. This isn't the let's bash them up channel and where we call each other names. That I liked. So thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. Please like, subscribe, and tell us any other cases that you would like us to cover. And have a good one. Whether you are in the grocery store, the gas station, or anywhere else, please remember to be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through. And the same goes for our comment section. We want you to comment, but be nice, be kind, be positive if you can. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good one.